Welcome, folks, to episode 178 of the Morgue official CorpseFeed podcast. And I'm Arturo, Padilla, the guy behind the face. And with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex. Howdy, man. How you doing today?
Oh, man. Howdy, Arturo. Howdy, everybody. I know we're like a month into 2024, but it doesn't feel like the year started yet, right? In terms of movies.
Oh, 1000% agreed. It's been super slow. Even for January, I think it's been kind of slow, man. But we are slowly revving up, and the spring looks to bring a lot of good releases for us. And here we got to for you today, folks, our 2024 movie preview show. And we got a long list of movies. Some of them that have been confirmed, some that will probably be moved as things happen. But there's a lot of really good movies on this slate, Tex. Let's start it off, right? Let's finish off the winter season with these folks, right?
Yes, good idea. So, coming in February and March are a few things we're keeping an eye out for. First is, we got Argyle coming, which is like the end of January or something like that. We'll see that soon enough. Madam Web is another one.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah,
it's funny because I intentionally omitted this one from the list. I'm like, let me see if I can leave this off the list so we don't have to talk about this. But it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. And what's wild is that in particular, Sydney Sweeney is in absolutely everything this year. In particular, this movie. So her face is going to be popping up all throughout this year, and this is why we can't really ignore this, because it's like, hey, we have some up-and-coming actresses here trying to do their thing, and we just really hope for a watchable vehicle, right?
Yeah, she's in a new trailer that came out around the time of recording this, Immaculate, something like that, where she's like a nun, and it's another.
I have my feelings about that one, but we'll talk about that more next week with you folks as we dive again into a regular weekly program. But but back to Madam Web, Tex.
Yeah, the same week that comes out is Lisa Frankenstein also hits. So we have two movies that could go either way, right?
Wait, so they come out the same week?
Yeah, both
February I was 14th. Not aware. Okay, okay, Tex. All right, so you're the moviegoer, right? You're the regular moviegoer here. What attracts you more, Lisa Frankenstein or Madam Web over here?
No, I'm going Madam Web. Like, that's just the franchise. That's the thing. I don't know if it's going to tie into Spider-Man, but I guess we'll find out, right? Like, that's the thing.
It sure looks like it'd tie into something Spider-Man-y, right?
Yeah, I have no idea what they're doing over there, but I'm curious. I'm with it. You know what? Like, I'm with it. Like, it looks like a movie from like 2000 something, and I kind of want to see that. I can't lie. Like,
yeah, it fits with Daredevil.
Clown on them,
right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like, that's the thing, is people clown on those movies from the 2000s, but like, we grew up on them, and they worked back then, right? Like, I remember watching Daredevil. I didn't have a problem with Daredevil back then.
Dude, I thought it was awesome. I saw it in theaters. I saw it in theaters with my buddy, and we were like, dude, this is awesome. And seeing Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin, that was great. And Ben Affleck, of course, was doing his best Ben Affleck, but it was like, yo, this is so dope, man. Daredevil.
Yeah, because like the only Daredevil we saw before was like in cartoons.
Oh my god, yeah, in cartoons, and I think they had like they tried to do a show.
They tried, right? It was.
I think they tried, but it was very like grounded to the point where I don't think there was a costume or anything at one point. But it was very it was very 90s Punisher-esque, with Dolph Lundgren, how that Punisher was very like, I want to live in a sewer kind of thing. It was like that. But
I know people. That's what the point is. Like, I know people clown on those movies like they weren't legit, right? Like, I guess now people like it's the cool thing to be like, oh, those movies suck, but they were great.
Yes, you're right. They were great in that time, and we didn't know anything else, right? It's not like we had Endgame to compare it to. It's like, oh, remember Endgame, guys? No, of course not. We had Elektra, and we had Daredevil, and we had Colin Farrell as Bullseye. So
that's before that. Like the stuff we saw was like Blade 2, and like I'm just
which was also very good.
X-Men's, and
But in terms of actual, Blade was different, right? Because we really didn't see Blade as coming right out of the panels, right? Like Daredevil did, right? So it was cool to see
I didn't even know
Daredevil.
Blade was like a Marvel thing. Like when I first saw it, Blade was just like a cool vampire hunter guy, you know.
Like, oh,
So
it's Wesley Snipes. All right,
yeah,
Simon
it was
Phoenix. Let
just
me see what you got. Right?
that's 100% it. It was just a Wesley Snipes movie. So like, you know, so moving on with the winter 2024 schedule, we have stuff like Dune 2, which, you know, Dune Part 2, we haven't really uh paid a lot of attention to it because both you and I have gone on record here talking about
Yes.
like how I still haven't seen the part one, and I at this
I
point,
haven't seen part one either. So,
yeah, so
yeah, exactly.
we're
Like
just
at this
gonna
point,
we're gonna watch it before part two, right?
exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna binge the first one. But you see, like that was my big gripe when the first one did come out on streaming on Max, right? The
Hmm.
audio quality was so poor that it was unwatchable. You couldn't really hear anything, right?
That's a
So
shame.
that's really cool. So I really like hope they fix that because I'm like, okay, this looks cool in front of me, but I can't hear a thing, you know? So that really took me out of it and took me out of the whole production, honestly. But the trailer that we saw in theaters recently and we spoke about several episodes ago, it kind of got me back into the groove of things. It looks really cool. It is almost 3 hours though, man. Along
Yeah,
with part
so
one, another 3 hours. So that's like 6 hours
yeah,
of movies there that
we're
I'm
gonna be it's gonna be quite the double feature that we're sitting through. So moving on with that, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which, you know, you and I both like the reboot one. So or Afterlife. There we go. I keep calling it reboot one, and we both like Afterlife, and I'm curious about the sequel. Like that's the thing. I know it's gonna have more of the old guys in it, but I I don't mind that. Ghostbusters
I
isn't
don't
one of
mind that
those
either.
franchises for me, right?
Yeah.
It's not one of those like big nostalgia plays for me because, you know, I didn't really hold it like in a high pedestal like that, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit there minding either, right? I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, if you have the
yeah,
old comedians who are good at this and who know what they're doing, right? Like, why not give them cash? It's like, yeah,
yeah,
why
like
not give them the money? You know?
on the opposite end of the spectrum, Ghostbusters is definitely in high regard for me. It's one of those films as a kid that got me into this whole thing. And you guys might see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Dan Man like right over here, down here somewhere under my arm crook.
Nice.
Um, but um, but yeah, I'm really glad how they brought in those old guys, right? Like Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd. I'm really glad how they brought them um in Afterlife and how they were mixed into the fold at the end, right? At
Right.
the end.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Afterlife because of that new young cast. So I am a little concerned as to how much we do spend with that young cast, or is it a kind of story where the young cast is not like doing anything, so you have to bring in the old cats, you know what I mean? So it's if it's something like that, I'll take it, but let's remember where we came from in terms of Afterlife and what got us here, right? Afterlife was successful primarily because of that entire new generation kind of doing its
Right.
thing, right? So
Great point.
I do hope we stick with them, but I am very excited to see the old guys and old gal because Janine is back as well.
Yeah.
So I am glad to see them back in the fold. That makes me very happy. This story in particular, when we covered the trailer itself, we mentioned it looked different, right?
Right.
It looks entirely different from anything Ghostbusters. There's no Vigo situation here, so everything's frozen. Everything looks like it has a bit more higher stakes here. So I am hoping we do get something watchable and something very cool to remember, right, Tex?
Right. I agree. And it's the same thing for Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire, which is now releasing at the tail end of March instead of April because it got bumped up a couple of weeks, which was cool.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and you know, well, yeah, it got moved
Okay, I see
because
you.
there was like a Boom Jong Ho movie that didn't get like finished because of the strikes or whatever, so it had to move to like March 29th instead of April. So Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, it's kind of the same thing where it's like, you know, I'm just looking forward to seeing cool stuff, you know, and at this point, this is all the monster movies are, like the monster verse movies are, where it's just like all they can do is the big monsters fighting, and we know already that the human part of it is going to let us down a bit, you know, and
Yeah.
so
Um. Uh. we haven't seen the entirety of the Monarch show on Apple TV,
Right.
but we've gone on record saying that it was a shaky start.
Yeah, I
My
wasn't really
brother
feeling it.
actually saw the whole
Yeah.
thing, and he confirmed our feelings that it's throughout the whole thing, like you will like not really enjoy yourself, especially with the characters, because he mentioned there's not really much monster action in there. A lot of more of the the son and the daughter kind of stuff. And the son apparently gets more annoying as the show goes on. So I didn't like him to begin with. But
Yeah,
um,
that's tough.
back to the monsters here. I am hoping they go back to what got them to this dance, right? Which is a whole other movie, which I didn't think they would get, after Godzilla versus Kong, since that was all streaming pretty much. But like, this looks cool. I guess Kong has a robot fist or something. But let's see what happens, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. So
Yeah.
that's the energy I'm bringing into that's kind of energy I'm bringing into spring with the start with Abigail, which is we talked about Abigail, we talked about the trailer at length. Please go listen to that conversation. But it's kind of the same thing. Like I'm hoping for a fun monster movie thing. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it because it also doesn't look like a big thing. It also doesn't need to be, because it's not a franchise thing. It's not a sequel. It's not
Yeah.
this isn't like an Abigail reboot of something we saw years ago or
No,
something. So it's
exactly.
just
Yeah.
like I'm hoping it's just a fun time at the movies.
I'm crossing my fingers for the same exact thing, Tex. But again, I am a little worried that the trailer itself showed a lot. Honestly, it showed too much. I think one glimpse of the ballerina little girl being a vampire is all we needed. I didn't need to see all this other stuff. So I am a
Right.
little concerned about that, being that this movie comes out a couple of months. I'm
And
curious
we'll
to see.
probably get we'll
Yeah,
probably get a new trailer before then
exactly.
too,
I'm
right? Of
curious to
like
see
even more stuff.
what
Yeah.
the second final trailer will show us, and I hope it kind of amps up the kills maybe, or the dread or something. But yeah, again, Radio Silence is doing this one. I'm hoping for the same success they had with Ready or Not, a fun watchable movie, right? And speaking of
Right.
fun watchable movies, Tex, um uh
Yes.
this is um the first big one, I think, on this list, right?
I would
Uh,
agree. Yeah.
yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Man, we cannot say enough about this movie. We are very excited to see this movie. I know Tex is super duper excited to see this movie. He was super stoked when he saw the trailer in theaters, man.
Dude,
Um,
yeah, like the Apes trilogy, man. Like I think we've said it before, and we'll probably do a rewatch. Like
oh,
that's the best excuse for a
1000%.
rewatch, right? Of like
Absolutely.
that trilogy is one of my favorite like trilogies ever in terms of like you get, I don't know, man. You get three strong movies,
Dude,
and like
and also like out of nowhere, right? Like,
yeah,
who thought, right? Who thought when Rise came out, right? That
yeah,
it
yeah,
was like, hey, this is gonna be this amazing, trilogy that's like led by by Andy Serkis and his, CG crew,
dude.
wild,
I
wild. It still
yeah,
blows my
I
mind
remember
thinking about it,
when
dude.
dude, I remember when Dawn came out, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and that was the one that like really changed that really changed things. Like
Yeah.
it hit as that sequel, and you're like, wow, like yo, this is a whole world that they like, and then War came out, and oh man, like what what a trilogy. And
And
so that's the
and
thing.
also
The
text
this
too, it
is
was one of the first major kind of blockbuster, movies like that didn't have, humans in it kind of leading the charge, right?
dude, yeah,
It
it's so wild.
obviously besides Woody Harrelson and in War, which was fantastic.
Dude,
Like it was
incredible.
Caesar and company.
Yeah,
Great.
apes together strong, man. So
Yes.
like, this one's a whole new era, like quite literally. Like I think it's like hundreds of years in the future or something like that. And I mean, hey, if it's another
Wild.
trilogy, I'm down. Like why not, right? Like
I'm excited about it too because I had no idea this was even in the works, because like, we didn't ask for it since you gave us these
Yeah,
three
it was
awesome movies.
it was a perfect trilogy, right? Where
Yeah,
like it ended
exactly.
and you're like, it ends and it kind of like quite literally goes, okay, here's Planet of the Apes. Like it kicks off after this, right? And
Yeah.
so this is just another one of those things where it's like, hey, someone had an idea. I'm hoping that's what it is, right? Like someone had a good idea for an Apes movie and now they're making it because they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know
Yeah.
what? That is a great idea.
Crossing my fingers, crossing my fingers. And speaking of great ideas, right?
Yeah, right. Great segue.
Listen, we're back in the world of Mad Max with
Yes.
Furiosa, right? I cannot wait for this again. Text, like, this is
It's
like
another one.
these
This is
movies will be
another one,
coming out
man.
like back to back, pretty much. And Furiosa, man. When George Miller released a Fury Road, years ago, with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron and all that awesomeness that we saw there. I was just like absolutely blown away, and I absolutely love that movie. And to come back to that world with another talented crew, right? Because let's not front here. We have Anya Taylor-Joy playing the titular character, right? So,
Right.
like, her herself being Furiosa, and I think her first real action role, which I'm excited to see how she does. Along with Chris Hemsworth. This is, oh my god, it looks wild. It looks just exactly like we left off in Fury Road. That same vibe, that same kind of just tone, and I cannot wait. Again, he did everything in Fury Road is all practical, the majority of it, like all the like stunts and everything, and I just can't wait to see this one, man. I'm very excited about this one. Very
Yeah,
excited.
I 100%, 1000% agree. Like I don't think I could say it better myself. It's just, man, like I'm just happy that it looks so good.
Yes.
And I know we'll probably get another trailer before like the thing actually hits. But as of right now, I'm like, I think if that's all we get, like I'm good with that too. Like
Yeah.
it's tough,
I
man.
don't need like you got me already, dude. I don't
Yeah,
need to see any
right.
more, man. Like I am so happy. Like this is like it didn't get like delayed as much as Fury Road did, right? Because that was a
Right.
whole feat of itself just to get on on track in theaters and greenlit and stuff. So I'm very happy this is coming out like in the next
Dude,
a couple of months, dude. Very happy about
yeah,
that.
George Miller's been quietly working on it, right? Like, just I don't, I'm excited, man. I want to see what he's been cooking up.
Yes.
So yeah. So speaking of that, seeing now we have a ballerina, which is so this one we haven't seen really anything of yet in terms
Yeah,
of like,
which this is why I'm surprised it's still on that coming out in 2024, because this is one of those projects that branched off from the whole John Wick universe, right? Like we had the
mhm,
Continental on Peacock. This is the one with Ana de Armas, who's supposed to be one of the Russian ballerinas, who's like an assassin or doing crazy whatever. So, like Tex mentioned, we haven't seen a lot of this stuff, but they definitely were pushing this one out as being the first feature um, um, uh, to spin off from this John Wick universe. And De Armas is very talented. The whole ballerina shtick they did in John Wick is actually really cool. So that was actually one of the most interesting aspects
yeah,
of that.
especially because
Yeah,
we didn't really see anything from it either.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
in like they kind of introduced the idea, but we didn't see any of the ballerinas.
yeah,
Like they didn't do anything yet. So
yeah.
it's
I know exactly.
I'm guessing it was literally all an idea to like put in like a spin-off thing, right? Like
Dude,
I'm
yeah, I really hope they get Angelica Houston back. That'd be great.
I
Because she was
mean, why
awesome.
not? Yeah,
And
like
that's clout right there. Just
you
have her there is clout,
yeah,
pretty
you
much.
kind of
Yeah,
need that cred, right? Like that's the thing. It's yeah, it's a John Wick spinoff, but if you look at like the Continental, which hit Peacock forever ago, you and I totally missed because around the time it came out, there was like so many other things hitting that we were like, I think we're fine. And apparently everyone else also skipped Continental. So like
they also thought they were fine too. They were like, "Yeah,
yeah,
I'm fine.
so yeah,
I'm
so
good."
I guess we'll see what comes of this. Even if it comes out, this is like you mentioned before, there are some that like on the schedule that don't really like we haven't seen anything of it yet, like teasers or like a photo saying it's getting made or
Yeah,
something yet. So like that's kind of in the same vein as this next one, Bad Boys 4, which also it's like I don't know if that one's coming because not only does it's probably not going to be titled Bad Boys 4. I don't know because it's a shame that they did the third one and they called it Bad Boys for Life. Like I bet they're kind of beating themselves up over it, right?
They're
Like,
like, damn, this should have been Bad Boys for Life.
yeah, like I really bet they're beating themselves up over it because
um, how was
I
part
don't.
3? I honestly haven't seen it. Was
You
it?
haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it, man. I've
Okay,
been
well,
slacking on that. Is it good?
so
It's watchable?
yeah,
Okay,
actually, yes. Like
dope.
I know the whole thing with Will Smith now, and he's got like a cloud around him in terms
Eh,
of like
whatever. That's
usage.
Hollywood
But that's the
nonsense shit.
thing.
Whatever.
That's yes, that's also 100% the thing. Like that's also old news,
Yeah.
right? And it's like
It
also
doesn't
does it
impact me at all. Like what impacts me watching his movies are that his movies usually aren't good in terms of what I
yes,
want to see. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
he picks roles,
1000%. Yeah.
like the last time I saw him like in a real role was that Pursuit of Happiness, just because oh my god, you gotta see Pursuit of Happiness, right? So I was like,
Yes.
ugh, okay, you know.
Yeah,
I
because that
saw it, and
was
I'm like,
his
okay, he's good. That was his Oscar
that
moment that yeah, that he nailed.
yes.
But
That was his
yeah,
first real like
yeah.
serious one that
But
showed
I'm
you
like,
that he was
okay,
here to like
can I
yeah.
get Big Willie back in like Wild Wild West 2 or something, please? Or like Men in Black, forever. Like I'd rather
And
see him in those kinds of things, honestly. So
yeah, and that's the funny part about that's the funny part about Bad Boys 3 is that it's actually like you can tell he kind of likes that environment too, in terms of
nice.
like
Okay,
yeah,
good.
this is what he likes to do, and because so like it's
That's what
probably
made him
the
successful, bro. Dude, come
yes,
on,
dude,
man.
and you got Martin Lawrence in there, like who hasn't really been in anything big since those days, like when he was the guy, right? Like he
Yeah.
used to be the guy that you would get as like we need a funny actor that they can play off of. Okay, where's Martin Lawrence? Is he
And who's
busy?
not
No,
so
okay,
expensive.
yes, right, like
Yeah.
it would totally show up in the most random movies too. Like it was great, but that's all to say that Bad Boys 3 was dope. And the
Dope.
directors who did that did I think they worked on Miss Marvel. They were the Batgirl directors. That's why they got picked up for that.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. You
Yeah,
know what?
because
I
they
gotta
got
watch
picked up
this.
for that because Bad Boys for Life is great. Like in terms, there's a whole like the final action scenes like inside a like it's a whole shootout inside a building, but the way they do it is super neat. Like the way they shoot it is really cool. So
R.I.P. Batgirl,
basically,
right?
yeah, like that's the thing. R.I.P. Batgirl, and this is all to say that if Bad Boys 4 comes out this year, cool, but also, we haven't seen anything about it being made, so it's one to look out for if it hits. So
Interesting, right?
yeah, moving on with the sequels, we have Inside Out 2, which is probably is that it's the first anime movie on this list, but also like the first anime movie that we're actually tracking for 2024, right?
Yeah, it's the first. Yeah, I believe it's the first one that I know that's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, they already released their teaser trailer earlier in December actually.
yeah,
With the other stuff with Wonka and all the other kid stuff. Um Inside Out too, man. The character's going through puberty now, so you get the feelings of anxiety and all that other, adult emo stuff, which is not nice for kids. They get to experience that. So,
I mean, hey, it's unfortunate that Pixar's like their original movies haven't been hitting, so now they have to go back to the sequel. Well, like because when they had Turning Red
yeah,
and Elemental and Luca and like
Luca,
they
but those were awesome.
Soul. I know those were
So
so great, but it was a
excluding
string.
Soul.
Yeah, it was a string of originals that didn't hit. So now it's like, okay, now
But
we
you know
got to
what
go
though?
back and make Inside Out 2, Toy Story 5.
But in fairness though, Tex, remember like what Luca and Turning Red were exclusively on streaming on Disney Plus, right? Because
Yeah,
of the pandemic stuff that hit up.
yeah,
But
but
those movies were awesome.
tell that to Disney.
I know, tell that to Disney. I'm like, show me the money.
Yeah, Disney's
That's what
like,
they
we'll
want to
make
see.
us. Yeah, they're like, well, make us a Monsters Inc. 4 or whatever. Like,
Go back and make us Incredibles 3. I want to see Incredibles 3 out of all the sequels that Pixar
yeah,
would have lined up. Like they continuously go to this Toy Story well, which is like, stop, you know, like just
Yeah.
bury these freaking toys
You're
already.
right, because when Incredibles 2 wasn't super great, but at the same time, like if there's a franchise that's built in to have like episodic stories, right? To have like its
It's
own thing, right?
it's a comic book. Like, you have your
Yeah.
Marvel right there, right? Like
Yes. Ah,
you
that's
had
so
Marvel
true.
before Marvel even joined the party in Disney, right? Like, it's right there, man.
Yeah,
And I'm
it,
pretty sure the voice actors will come back and do it.
dude, you have all these animated superhero things. That is 100% true. Like, this is another chance to get Incredibles 3 a shot. Why not? So tail end of the summer, we have A Quiet Place Day One, which is that prequel to A
Ooh.
Quiet Place, and uh, I don't know.
Okay, so
what
um
what do you what are you
I
thinking?
was good off
Because
the
part
Quiet
two
Place
was
universe
yeah.
off after part one, right? So, like, after part one, I was like, "Oh, this is
Oh
really cool," right? And
yeah,
then they did part two, and I'm like, "Oh, this is not as cool, but all right. If you had to show me something, okay, all right, cool,
right.
fine." Um, this one in particular is a little interesting, only because it's the prequel, right? It's
Yeah,
showing the
it's that
day of
expanded
the
version.
actual invasion, right?
Yes,
Like,
it's that expanded version of that opening scene in part two where
yeah,
they see the meteors coming
in the
down and
town
they're
and
like,
stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah,
like the parts of A Quiet Place too, the hat sound were the best parts. Um, so I am
I mean,
interested in this. I am interested in this. It's a whole new cast. I know Jaimon Hansu comes back though. Um, a- and he reprises his role that he did in part two.
I mean, good for him because like he didn't really do anything in part two. Like
No,
he
but
was
he's
just
always
kind of
solid. Screw it, man. If you need somebody, a little star power, get Jaimon in there, bro.
yeah, like that's the
Good for
thing. Like good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for it.
he
Good, man. Get that paycheck, dude.
that's the other thing too. Like he's also sneakily one of those guys, right? Like if you see him in something, you're like, okay, you at least know solid something, right? You're like,
He's
okay, you
like,
can rely on one
he's
thing in
kind of
there
like the
being
Black
solid.
Carl Urban. You know what I mean? Like he appears in these awesome genre things and these awesome, like, like drama things, and he's always solid. He's always there. Like, usually, as you mentioned, right? He's attached to pretty decent things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So again,
That's his thing. Yeah, 100%. He himself has not disappointed. There we go. I
correct.
think that's the best way to put it. Is like when he's in
Some
something,
of his
he's
projects have, but
yes, yes. Because that's also the fault of his kind. Like that's also the problem with like the way he picks his roles, where it's like, yeah, he takes those chances, but at the same time, it's like
you know
at
what
least
though?
you're good, right?
He was
Like
good
it's
in
one of
Gran
those things.
Turismo,
Like
right? He was pretty
yeah,
good in Gran Turismo, actually. So you
yeah.
see, like, it's things like that he pops in as he nails them and he moves on, you know.
Yes, like
So he's
that's
like Hugh
what.
Grant, but I think he actually likes his job.
Yeah, 100%, which is hilarious. So, kicking off the summer season,
And speaking
summer
of
2024.
hilarious, right?
Yes, we have Despicable Me 4, which was teasing a trailer. I think before we started like recording this. I think this week or week of that we're recording, but we're probably gonna get something when we see like the big game. When the big game comes out,
That's right.
the
The
big, the
Super
big
Bowl.
the big trademark game that we
That's
can't really
right.
mention. Yeah, but
I know. Well, edit.
but
I don't want to get in trouble. Don't strike me. Don't strike me.
yeah, yeah,
Um, But yeah,
but yeah,
we will listen. Speaking of the big game, though, lately, it has been disappointing in terms of commercials and reveals and stuff like that. I remember the last time it was like really kind of awesome was when Endgame kind of revealed some stuff and all that. But
yeah, because
so
they had
yeah,
stuff coming out. I think that's the
yeah,
thing. It's a
yeah.
year needs to have things coming
But
out in order to
again, though,
like.
Tex, we do have like a pretty decent list of stuff here that we're looking at, and I am hoping we do get some teasers during the big game. Including Despicable Me 4, which I had no idea was coming out. I am a fan of this because of my kids and my nieces and stuff like that. I've seen them grown up watching this stuff, so I've been there since part
Hey,
one. And Minions and
there's
all this stuff. So
they're
I'm
they're
I'm down.
fun movies, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah.
You have some people who are like high on their high horses talking about like, oh, I hate the Minions and all this stuff, but like,
Why?
I don't know, man. Like those movies are cute. Like I
Dude,
can't lie. Like
they're
Minions was
cute
good. Like
and they've
Minions was
all
like,
looked great, Tex. That's one thing that
yeah,
Illumination did well was like it looked great. You had no clue what the hell they were saying, right? They were super cute, but they always looked great. Their
yeah,
movies have always looked good, and I have no doubt that this will not be any different. I'm curious to see what they got Gru going into now. I'm curious to see if they age the girls some, right? Because we
yeah. That's
saw
true because it's been a while. Yeah,
in 3, they really didn't age at all. So it'd be cool to see them age a little bit and grew a little older, like physically older. That would be nice. Again, it'd be dope. I am hoping they have the whole cast back. I'm pretty sure they
yeah. I
do.
mean,
Yeah,
I like if you're doing a part 4, you kind of have to. That's the
you kind
thing.
of
It's
have to.
like
Yeah,
because Rise of Gru got away with it because it was a Minions movie, but also
exactly.
was like a Despicable Me prequel. So but they also then like they brought in the whole cast of who they could bring in within the
Yeah,
time
Steve
period,
Carell
right?
was
So
still doing the Gru voice, right?
yeah, so it's like yeah, like you kind of need everybody there. That's the package, and I'm down. I can't lie. Like I'm with it.
Yeah,
Why
you know
not?
what? Like, before we move on, that's a great point. Like, I hope they do bring back everybody in the voice cast because, unlike a Hotel Transylvania, Part 4, I think it was like that one completely, threw away everything because Adam Sandler didn't even come back for Hotel Transylvania 4, and that was just just a. So don't follow that trend, folks. Make sure you bring that whole cast back. And
Yeah,
and speaking of bringing stuff back, right? My goodness, Tex.
yeah.
I saw this
This
on this
one's
list, and I
totally
remember reading
random.
about this,
Yeah,
man. Freaking Twisters, dude. A sequel to Twister from what 1995, I think it was. Dude,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
just
so
like a big peek under the sheet here, real quick. Dude, I remember going to Universal Studios for the first time with my family, dude, when Twister came out, and it was huge. It was this crazy, like, phenomenon, right? Which honestly, at that age, I didn't really get, right? I
right.
understood tornadoes and stuff, but I didn't really get it. But I just knew it was huge. And now, all these years later, we're doing the sequel. Like, it's legit a direct sequel to to Twister. So Twisters, I guess, it follows like the children or something of one of
That
them who has their own,
so
weather
so
thing or
that's
other.
that's my thing about it being a sequel. It's like, it's basically a reboot. Because who cares? Like that's my thing. It's like I know Twister was big, but I don't think anyone remembers the movie.
I don't.
They remember the Twister, and I
Yeah.
know it's like you can be cute with it and say, oh, it's the kids of the weather chasers, the storm chasers, but also it's like, why? It's just a new Twister and a new, like
Yeah, exactly.
it,
Like, why?
the legacy sequel doesn't really connect for me here because it's just a Twister movie, right? It's just make a new tornado movie, and so I get it, branding, but
Yeah.
also it's like I'm not really looking for legacy stuff here. I don't want to see like I don't want a pan to like somebody in a room and it's like you hear the music come on, the
Yeah,
legendary
because
treatment where
like
someone comes back and it's like,
who was it? The main actor was he passed away, several years ago. What's his name? Super talented dude. Bill Saxton, right?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
Bill Paxton, yeah,
Bill Paxton.
like
Paxton, yes.
yes, like see, I remember him and I remember the finale where they were like they used a belt to like hook themselves to a pole
You know what
when
I
the
just
Twister
remembered, Tex?
came.
You just remembered? I think of Twister, and I think of the scene from Man of Steel where Kevin Costner's telling Karkat, "No,
Yeah,
stay
and he
over
holds
there."
his hand out. He holds his
He's like,
hand
"No,
out
stay there."
saying,
Oh, that's Twister.
yeah, I
So yeah,
that's my thing. It's like it doesn't need the
that's our
legacy
point. It
sequel thing.
doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not like there's been a Twister 2 or 3 or 4 that we even know of. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
so just make a tornado movie, use the branding, I guess, right? It's like, hey, just hope it's a good tornado movie. Uh
listen, yeah. Speaking of branding, and I hope it's good.
Yeah,
right?
like complete opposite end of that spectrum where it's like it has to absolutely like be good. It has to like do everything it needs to.
Yeah,
Legacy
agreed.
sequel, all that stuff. The Deadpool 3. So this is Marvel's only like official movie release of the year. Yeah, we just talked about a web. We'll talk about some of the other ones later, but this is Marvel Studios' only Marvel thing. So like it kind of like it's in that Superman legacy role where it's like it absolutely has to be good because it's their only thing, right? It's like
Yeah.
this one kind of has to be,
It's
and
their
it
only thing,
sucks.
and they've been hyping it up since even,
Yeah,
since before the writer's strike and everything when they showed the shot of, Reynolds and,
yeah, and
and
Hugh
Logan
Jackman in the
together,
suit.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude. So, um, I'm a little mixed. I'm not that crazy big into Deadpool. I enjoyed the movies.
and that's what
Um,
sucks, right? Because it's
yeah,
like there's so much pressure on this one, and it's a
yeah.
Deadpool movie, which like Deadpool 2 wasn't good at all, man. Like I'm not gonna sit
Yeah,
here and
it's
pretend
very
like
forgettable, honestly, dude. It was full
and
of
so was the
bad
first
jokes
one.
and stuff.
Yeah,
The
like
the first one was at least the first one, right? Like,
yeah,
um,
great point.
the second one was just very like again, like I remember so glad Josh Brolin, that washed that stink off with Thanos, right? Because
Right,
Cable
yeah.
wasn't good. The whole thing with Cable and like this just wasn't good. Um, Also translating Cable has been a tough challenge for everyone for some reason.
Yeah,
Um, it-
I don't even think Marvel's going to get that right eventually.
you know what it is? Like it's the time travel thing. That's really tough.
Time travel is just hard to do, like in
Yeah,
general,
yeah.
right? In
But
movies.
yeah,
And so going
but
off
this is
what you're
why
saying
Tex.
here,
Yeah.
yeah, going off
Um,
what you're saying here, it's just I don't know, man. This one, it's I'm not really looking forward to it in terms of like in that hype, but I'm hoping, maybe this is multiverse stuff. Maybe we're
I
getting
mean,
like a
they
bunch.
have like a bunch of people coming back, right? Like a bunch
I don't
of like
know,
big names.
confirmed and like yeah, like
Isn't
rumor names.
what's her name? Isn't she coming back as Rogue as well?
No, these are all just that's the thing. These are all just like
They were all just
rumors floating
rumors.
out.
Oh my god,
Yes,
I
yeah,
got Tex.
yeah. None of
Um,
those none of those have been confirmed. Nothing. So I guess we'll see. It's going to start its promotional hype train very soon. So we'll we'll,
yeah, because
we'll
they also
find
shared a
out.
picture that production has just wrapped up as
Yeah,
well.
so
So
we're
they,
definitely getting we're definitely getting a big game spot of some kind of like it'll probably be Hugh Jackman in the suit. That's probably
they
what we're
have to.
getting, and they're gonna
They
do
have
one of
to.
those ones where they're like sitting on Ryan Reynolds' couch and it'll be
Honestly,
all
that's the selling point of the movie is
yeah,
Hugh Jackman's back as Wolverine.
all they gotta do is put him in the suit, and there you go. That's all the tease we need right there. So
Yeah, exactly. Just them two watching the game, right? Like on the
yeah,
couch, right?
yes, that's all it's going to be. So moving on through the summer, we have Borderlands, which is the adaptation of that video game series.
From Mr. Eli Roth himself. Again, like
Ooh, yes.
I haven't seen. I've been reading about him being attached to this thing forever. For the longest time, he's been attached to this thing.
Right.
But this year, supposedly it's the year that he might be able to bring this to life. I'll believe it when I see it. I haven't seen anything at all for this. It's another one on this list that we don't know if it's actually officially coming out, but I for sure have been hearing Roth's name attached to this property for a long time. And for one, I don't get it. I don't get the hype. I've seen the game. I'm like, oh, okay, it's another like Fortnite kind of shooter
Yeah,
game, with crazy
it's
characters.
yeah, it's one of those where it's like it's kooky characters and kooky dialogue. So I guess that's why they have Eli Roth, but also,
Like
yeah,
out of all the video games, right? Like of all
right,
like for instance, like news just broke that the game Until Dawn is going to be adapted into a movie, Like
right.
that I get. Okay, cuz it has this linear story into it, but when you start doing shooters and stuff, like when Doom became a movie, I was like, oof. Even with The Rock attached to it and everything, it was like, oh, that's rough, man.
Right.
Like you can't really make movies out of shooters, in my opinion. And this one I think is another one. So you know, go back to Thanksgiving too. You know, I'd rather honestly, I'd rather see you do that. You know, but give me more Thanksgiving kills. Take that last one you did, right, and then just amplify it in part 2, just like Terrifier 2 did. Amplify the hell out of
Right.
your gimmick. You know, I'm not really too interested in Borderlands, and with Roth attached, it doesn't really pique my interest at all, man. Like it's
Right.
on this list mainly because it's a big video game. So
Right. And so there are like so Speak No Evil is the next one on
oh
this
my
list.
goodness.
I don't really know much about the original,
Oh
so
man, text. I
I can't
have
really speak
all
on
right.
it.
So, speak no evil, folks. If you really, this movie is very polarizing, to be honest with you, because it's a really good story, right? It's a really good
Okay.
story, but I gave it a 6 because of just um how visceral the emotions I got watching the end of that movie. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it the premise is pretty much the original one deals with these two different families from different parts of Europe. They meet on holiday, right? And then they get
Mhm.
together at a different point in time, to like, hang out for the weekend or something. And one of the families just is just very nice. Just they're very nice in terms of being nice people. Like they don't know how to say no or anything like that. And that kind of leads them into this very wild like story that it grinds my
Yeah.
I got a
gears.
lot of problems with you
It
people.
grinds my
Right. So
gears so
I
bad
guess
because it's
yeah,
yeah, and this one is an American remake. James McAvoy's attached. I'm not sure which of the characters he's going to be, whether it's the antagonist or the protagonist. I think he could be. Honestly, he's very talented, so he can do both. But speak no evil, folks. It's on Shutter now. If you want to go watch it, it's a love it or hate it kind of thing. That ending, man, just. Anyways,
so yeah, speaking on that,
speaking of right, speaking
yeah, so
of, we have
we're probably gonna lightning round through much of the summer season here through the
yeah.
remaining ones. So right now, next we have the Untitled Alien movie, which could be Alien Romulus, could be Alien. I forget there was another code name thrown out there, but it's the Fede Alvarez directed Alien, and I mean new Alien movie, Fede, but
Yeah,
the
we've spoken
only
about this before in the past, so
yes,
I don't think
and
we have to
the
say much about it.
it's just the hang up is the Fede Alvarez of it all. Like that's
It's Fede
honestly what it
Alvarez.
is.
It's Fede Alvarez, but it's really Scott approved. So
Yeah.
that's the
So I
only way.
guess
That's the only way these things are getting made these days. Like if Scott approves it. So all we gotta do is sit back and wait and see what happens with this one. Like another one that's here on this list that we just have to just sit back and wait. That's been pushed back already. As
yes,
was Craven the Hunter,
it got
right?
pushed back a whole year because of the strikes. And the
Yeah.
thing too, it's like, yo, like a
But
couple
did it get any
months, yeah,
better in that time, right? They
yeah, a
improved the
couple
movie during that time.
I feel like this is one of those ones where the movie was done. This is one of those cases where the movie was done. They pushed it so they can release it with like promotions and stuff like that. Like because they needed the actors out there talking about this movie. So
Yeah.
it's another one we're just gonna have to wait and see. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just like Madam Web, where it's like you're doing all this Spider-Man stuff. Eventually, it's got to bring in a Spider-Man, right? Like it's
Yeah,
like
dude, but they came in hard with that trailer too, right? They were like, "Yo, this
yeah,
is what we got for you guys,"
yeah,
and people were
yeah.
like, "Oh,
They're
you know
like it's rated R. They're like
what?
yeah.
Yo," and then it's funny because it looked like they had a final product, and they're like, "You know what? Let's push this back a little bit."
Yeah, let's push it back a year. That's why I'm like, yo, okay, come on. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah, rounding out September, we have Beetlejuice 2, which is you know, according to like quotes from like Jenna Ortega and stuff like that, they're having fun making it. It's not
Okay.
something I
Oh,
wanted. Like
okay.
I
Okay. Like, I'm glad you're
yeah.
having fun doing your job. Like, that pays you all this money, But like that being said, you can have fun on set and still produce a shitty movie. I
Yeah,
don't
like
I like Beetlejuice. It's not one of my movies that I go back to all the time. That's my wife. She loves that movie. Like I get it, but I was never craving a sequel to this thing.
yeah, and then and Michael Keaton as old Beetlejuice,
I mean,
it's
listen,
gonna be like
having him back is a difference though, right? But we did see old Batman and Flash, and that wasn't too great. But
Yeah, and it's Tim Burton, so it's like I've got my feelings about Tim Burton as a
I know you
director,
do.
and
I know.
yeah,
I know.
and
I
that's why I'm
know.
like I'm looking at all this, and I'm just like, well, we'll see how
Yeah.
this works out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
Yeah.
And speaking of,
So
let's see how this works out, right?
yeah,
Um,
final movie of the summer, rounding out September and then leading into October. Saw 11. Hey, you. I mean, I thought it. You know, we talked about this. Where like
would you like
Saw
to play a
X was
game,
probably
folks?
yeah. We we talked about this as in like Saw X seemed like the start of a new trilogy, but also was like I was good. You know, I
Yeah,
walked out
like
of that going, yeah, I'm fine. You know,
yeah, yeah. Like I enjoyed Saw X for what it was because it was actually like a focus. It was a character piece, like more than just the games that we get. But
right?
kind of want to get back to those games, right? Especially if we're gonna be cranking them out again like this, right?
Yeah, like we're
So
definitely getting to 12 at this rate. You got to do 12, and if you get to 12,
it's
you got
gotta
to
get to
get to
13.
13.
It's
Yeah,
gotta get to
like
13, the
we
magic
got to
number
get
in
the full
horror, right?
13, right? Yeah,
So
and then cap it off at this point. So we'll see what happens from Saw 11 to Saw 13.
yeah,
So
there's not
let's
much to
get
say. There's not much news on that one, but yeah.
yeah, let's get to the fall and let's round out this year of previews with Joker Folia do. I don't know how
Fully
to. I don't think
adieu.
I pronounced. Yeah, I don't think I
Fully
pronounced it
adieu.
correctly. But Joker 2.
Again, this is another one that I honestly didn't ask for. I enjoyed
I
the
did
first.
not either. 100%.
Excuse me. I enjoyed the first Joker for what it was, but it was never gonna be like, oh, I have to go rewatch this thing. It
Yes.
was cool. It was a solid movie, great performance by Joaquin, and all that. But like here we have a Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn in this one. It's I kept hearing about a musical, kind of take on this thing
Dude.
on this
Uh
script.
you
So
know this one's gonna be like big and loud and just they're gonna do some wild they're gonna be real artsy with it because the first one like hit it off with those kinds of like movie
oh
watchers, you
my
know.
god, yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be real like it's gonna be insisting upon itself, you know. It's gonna be
Yeah.
real like Peter from Family Guy. It insists upon itself, you know. So yeah, we're gonna I the movie I'm more curious about though on this list, moving on from Joker already, is Wolfman. So Leigh
Wolfman
Whannell,
got
who
nards,
direct,
bro.
yes, Leigh Whannell from like Saw days, like the guy who
Yes.
started there. Last time we saw him direct was Invisible Man, which was one of the best movies like
What, dude,
of ever. Like
2019, right? Like it
yeah,
won
what
the no, of 2020, right? Because that was
yeah,
right before the pandemic started.
it won a bunch of our Goldies awards,
Yes, it
and
won the
like yeah,
the Goldie for best movie and the toe tag for best horror movie that year as well.
yeah,
And
like
this is why
it was
Wolfman
that
specifically
it
is
was
here,
that
man.
good. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
that good. So like if Leigh Whannell could do the same thing for Wolfman as he did for the Invisible Man,
Dude,
like and like reinvent it for this modern era, but still like be good.
think about it.
We-
Imagine if he can successfully recreate the Universal monsters for like this era, huge. He already did
yeah,
like fantastic work with Invisible Man, you know. I can't wait to see what he does with Wolfman. Winnell has proven to be a great, solid writer, a great, solid director, as well as a producer who knows the vision, who knows what needs to be done when it comes to horror and genre. So I am very excited about this one in particular as well. And I can't wait to see it. I
it,
am curious though.
yeah,
Um,
it's yeah. one
yeah,
hundred
go for
percent.
it.
It's the same thing for Nosferatu, which is the
Yeah,
Robert Eggers like reinvented monster movie kind of thing.
yeah,
But
with Skarsgård playing the vampire as
yeah,
well.
like that's coming at the end of the year, and I feel like that's going to be the completely opposite take. Like Wolfman might give us like modern day stuff, and Nosferatu is going to be like real like this is a black and white
Yeah,
Nosferatu sequel kind of
yeah,
thing because it's Robert Eggers,
yeah.
you know.
It's Eggers. He did the Lighthouse. He did
Yeah,
Batman. Just doing the mermaid. If you guys haven't seen the
yeah.
Lighthouse, that's the whole point. Just Pattinson going at it with a mermaid. Anyways,
yeah.
but
So
yeah, like,
yeah.
but I am interested in Nosferatu. They have Bill Skarsgård playing the vampire Nosferatu. They have Defoe in there as well. They have a good cast, but again, man, like I don't want this shot for shot remake, man. So, but it's what it's pointing that way, honestly. So I'm a little concerned about that one. But another one that I'm interested and a little concerned about too is Venom 3.
Yeah.
This popped up on the list as well, which I'm like, wait a minute, this is coming out this year.
It is. Yeah.
Listen, Sony is trying to do something, right? Sony is trying to do something here, and screw it, we're here for it, right? Like,
yeah. Like
yeah,
we talked about this with our Venom Let There Be Carnage review. You kind of need a Spider-Man in this. Like you
yeah.
can't do 3 Venom movies without a Spider-Man in it. Like that's just impossible. I don't think you can do it. Like, and so I'm curious to see if they get away with it again. Like, are they going to get away with not having a Spider-Man in there? And
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
tough.
think they
That's a great
should.
point, though.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
great
and
point.
so another 3 that I'm looking forward to is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This is one of those ones where like both Sonic 1 and 2 were just fantastic movies. This one's gonna have Shadow in it, so like, hey, let's do it, man. I'm all for it.
My son is super stoked. He's
Hell
super
yeah.
excited and ready to see it. He's bugging me as to when they're gonna drop a trailer. So drop it during the big game, why don't you? Right?
Oh, yo, give
Because
us
we need
a
something.
Shadow thing, right? All you need is
Yeah.
like a Shadow teaser, and just like or even like announce who's playing him, or just give us something, right? Like give us
Oof.
something. Like
Listen, regardless of which, I'm excited because those movies look great, and
they look great. Yeah.
it's livened up James Marsden career, right? Cyclops. I'm glad
Yeah,
you're doing something.
yeah. He was so just a short aside, he was in the show Jury Duty on Amazon Prime, and he was
Oh,
great
how
in
is
that.
that?
Like,
How is that?
yeah,
Because I saw
great.
the trailer for that. It looked funny.
Yeah, great show. So a final movie on this list that we're kind of keeping an eye on is Gladiator 2. Apparently a Gladiator sequel has just been in the works quietly, and hey, like Gladiator is one of those kind of all-time classics. So like
Yes.
I'm worried about a sequel in terms of just like what more can you do?
Oh
Especially because
man,
you see
dude,
how part 1 ends, right? And it's
Gladiator,
like
dude. Gladiator came out at a time when, like, I think I was how old was I? I think I was 14, 13 or 14 when that movie came out. And it was at the time where you started, like, at my age, respecting film and understanding film and all this other stuff. And man, I went to see it several times in theaters. Um, it's a
it's
great
just a
movie.
good movie, man.
It's a
Like,
really good
yeah.
movie, dude. It put Russell Crowe on the map, even though he did other stuff before that. This was the movie that
Yeah,
legit, solidified him.
it was Russell
Um,
Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix,
Walking
who
Phoenix,
was
Connie
another one
Nielsen was
where
there as well.
I feel like Joaquin Phoenix, this was another one of his early ones where
Yes, he was playing
you're like,
Commodus. Yes,
yeah,
dude.
you're like, whoa, yo, you're like, oh, this guy's got
Yeah,
something, yeah,
Jaimon
like,
Hansu was in there, right? We were just talking about Jaimon earlier in the
yo,
show, right? Full circle
thank you for
combo,
proving
right?
the point once
You
more,
see,
right? Yeah.
Jaimon, man, but not yet, not
Yeah.
yet. Oh my god, dude. Ah, Jaimon,
So
love you, bro. It's great
that's
in that
just
movie, dude.
that's the worry though, right? Like you got to say, like, because that first one's so good, it's like, what could a
Yeah.
sequel possibly do, right? Like,
Yeah, like
and
what can it add to the already fantastic, like, lore that was Gladiator? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that was all pretty buttoned up. I mean, Ridley Scott, he usually directs in a way where he doesn't think about, the future. He wants to put everything in one movie.
yeah, it
And
felt
it did.
complete.
He definitely
It
did.
was a complete story. Like, it had I know it sounds like a thing, that a default, right? But it has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean,
1000%, man. Um
I
again,
think
like
that's why. I
I
mean,
I
hey,
I cannot wait to really see the first glimpse of this, or even hear what exactly the story is for this, because I'm very interested. Very interested. Imagine if we got Joaquin Phoenix back, dude. Oh god.
dude. I
Um,
mean, and like the Walking Phoenix now, like that's the thing, right? It's like it's the
he's
Russell
like
Crowe
leveled up
Walking
so
Phoenix.
much since that, dude.
Yeah,
My
both of
goodness.
them have, like, Russell Crowe too. Like, since
He,
Gladiator, we've
he
gotten
just
movies
worked
like,
with him in freaking Napoleon too, right?
yes, like, dude. I mean, come on, right? Like, oh, deliver us, please. Like,
Folks,
give it, yeah.
folks, this year, as you heard,
Yes.
folks, this year is jam-packed with goodies, man. From the end of winter time, with Lisa Frankenstein and that kind of stuff, to the end of legit winter time in 2024, where hopefully we're gonna get a Gladiator 2 movie, folks.
Yeah, man.
But there's been so many movies here on this list that we would love to talk about more in depth, and we will. As we get more information on them and as we get more trailers, we will bring you the latest and greatest here on the Morgue. And folks, this was episode 178 of the Morgan Official or CorpseFeed podcast. And I am Arturo Padilla, the guy behind the face. And with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out goes to Del Varus for all the awesome artwork you see in front of you. Go check him out on Instagram. Give him a like. Share his profile. Go get tattooed by him even more. It's the best way you can share his stuff, right, Del? The big shout out goes to you guys for listening. We have 177 of these things anywhere you get your podcast. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, any of that stuff. Go check us out. Go check out this show when it drops on Tuesdays at 4:20 on YouTube Live, on Twitter, on X Live, I should say, on Facebook Live as well. Go like, share, subscribe us on YouTube. Go comment. Go send us an email at feedmailbag@gmail.com if you need to send us some love as well. Go share us. Again, go like, subscribe on YouTube. This show drops at 4:20 every Tuesday, right? The live version. Plus, you can see everything else we have on the archives for you on our YouTube channel. Check us out. And while you're at it, go check out CorpseFeed on IG. Go check out the Morgue on IG. Go drop us some love, folks. And remember, it's a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.